Hi there, it's Friday and it's day 5 of your Paleo Reset 31. So you're almost at the end of your first week. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, if you've found this video on YouTube and you're wondering what I'm talking about, then there's a link in the video notes. If you jump across to my website, you'll be taken, you'll go to the page there, which explains all about this Detox and Reset ancestral health program. Okay, but for those of you who are doing the program, let's get into it. Today we're talking about protein because there is a misconception about the ancestral health model, the primal or paleo way of eating, that it's sort of like high protein and we're eating too much protein, and people get concerned about that. But the reality is that if we look at the global population, both developing world and the developed world, people are not eating enough quality protein for good health. When we receive an adequate amount of quality protein, all of our bodily systems can do their work in an optimized way, and the result is good health. Okay, so heading down to the section here of Be Smart. I'm always sitting here and reading with you. We need complete protein. Every cell and every metabolic function needs protein. We need protein to maintain muscle mass, and not just any type of protein. Our body needs quality protein. That is, we need the full range of the 9 essential amino acids, as well as all of the other amino acids, that arrive in synergistic form when we eat animal sourced protein, right? Without the full range of these amino acids, we simply cannot be healthy, right? So when people say too much protein, I kind of wonder what they're imagining, right? Because I can assure you that we're not eating a massive T-bone steak every day. It's always good to keep in mind that quality protein doesn't mean just red meat. When we're talking about the paleo, the primal, the ancestral health model, we're not just talking about red meat. Quality protein includes eggs, fish, seafood, poultry, game. Yeah. And so personally, like Fiorenzo and I, we eat a lot of fish and seafood. We eat, I think it's fish and seafood, 5 or 6 times a week. And then when we sort of like add in, all of the, that full range of animal sourced protein, you'll see that we're actually only eating red meat a few times a week, because it's so varied, the choices that we have around that. So what about vegetable protein? Right, this is particularly important for people who are coming from a vegetarian or a vegan background. I've worked with people who are, confronting sort of ethical issues around the eating of animal sourced protein. That's a different conversation, which I won't go into here, but I'm really happy to have that conversation with you. I know it well. That's where I was coming from that. And I know it can be difficult to, to open the mind to a different way of looking at things. But I can reassure you, eating animal source protein is not unethical at all, and we certainly promote sourcing our animal protein in the best possible way. We are concerned about the life and the death of the animals who are sacrificing their life for our good health. But it's always been that way. It's always been that way. We have evolved in this way, that we need animal source protein. Vegetable protein is simply not going to cut it. Okay. Plant-based sources of protein, such as legumes and soy, are not considered quality protein because they're problematic for the digestive system, because they don't contain the full range of amino acids, and because they come packaged with a lot of carbohydrate. So if we compare the protein contained in beans and chicken breast, right, you'll see that 1 cup of beans contains only 6 grams of protein and 10 grams of carbohydrates, whereas 1 cup of chicken breast contains 35 grams of protein with 0 carbs. Right? So what this means is, to get the same amount of protein from beans as you do from chicken, you'd need to eat nearly 6 cups of beans, which would also provide 58 grams of carbohydrates. Yeah, it's glucose in your system, and the digestive issues as a bonus, right? And because the protein isn't complete, you'd have to add another plant-based protein, right, to get that full range, which means even more carbohydrate, right? And this, of course, is a problem because as you're learning, we need to keep our carbohydrate levels, as low as possible. So your macronutrient calculation should start with protein because it's so important, okay? And then your healthy fats, because the fatty acids, are essential. We need those for energy. And then carbohydrate as a macronutrient, remember, is overrated. We don't need much. And if we're fat adapted, we can be perfectly healthy with very little carbohydrate in our diet, right? In situations where we lack carbohydrates, the body and brain will use ketones for energy. Right? But the essential amino acids and the essential fatty acids are, yes, they are essential. We need to get them from the diet. Okay. So how much protein do we need? How much quality protein do we actually need? All right, we're going to do this I'm just going to run through this really quickly and then you can read it in your own time, okay? For every pound of lean muscle mass, we need an average daily intake of between 1.5 and 2.2 grams of protein, and the differences in these averages represent our activity levels, okay? So if the body... if the body isn't receiving the right amount, between 1.5, 2.2, it can't be healthy. Lean muscle mass is our body weight minus our fat, okay? Now, you can go to a dietitian or a nutritionist, and you can, or a gym, and you can, use all of the equipment to get a precise reading, or we can just guess it, okay? If you're a male, right, a man who's an athlete will have about 10% muscle mass. If he's just sort of slim and healthy, like Fiorenzo, he'll have about 15. And if he's somewhat overweight, he'll be about 22% lean muscle mass. For a female, we have a bit more. We carry a bit more fat. So a female athlete will have about 20%. A slim and healthy woman like myself will have about 22%, and a somewhat overweight woman will have about 30%, okay? So Fiorenzo, for example, he weighs about 65 kilos. He's a fit man, but not an athlete, so we can estimate his body fat at about 15%. He's quite active, right? He works as a gardener. He's outdoor. He's always sort of got chainsaws and things in his hands, so he's quite active. So let's say 1.8 grams of protein per kilo. Okay, the mathematics, 65 kilos minus 15% body fat equals 55.25 kilograms of lean muscle mass. Multiply that by 1.8 grams of protein. You can see that he needs around 99 grams of protein per day. Okay, let's do it for me. Okay, I weigh 54. I'm actually about 56 now, but doesn't matter. I weigh 54 kilos. I'm fit, but I'm not an athlete. Let's say my body fat is at 22%. I'm active, probably not as active as Fiorenzo, so we'll drop the protein down to 1.7 grams. Do the mathematics, and you'll see that I need about 71 grams of protein per day, right? So if you average this out, right, because we're a couple, we eat together, we need to consume about 85 grams of quality protein each day, okay? So what does that actually look like? Okay, 85 grams of quality protein. This is pretty much what we eat, okay? This is a good example. This is a good example of what we eat. For breakfast, 2 eggs, which equals 26 grams of complete protein. For lunch, we eat, let's say, some beef, a bit of beef, 125 grams of beef, 125 grams of salmon for dinner, which is what we're having tonight. And you'll see that all of that adds up to 83.5 grams of complete protein. Okay, so it's not a lot of protein. It's quite simply the right amount of protein. Yeah, and we eat a lot of healthy fats. We eat a wide range of vegetables and salads. Yeah, and so this means that we're eating a moderate amount of quality protein. And in this way, we're providing our bodies with all of the nutrients and energy that they need. Okay, so that's a bit of an explanation of protein. Don't be worried about it. Yeah, if you're eating just sort of like a healthy meal like those described above, then you don't need to worry about getting too much protein. Okay, let's just jump down to the section in eat, because this is important today. There's an exercise here to do, which is called when, right? Wait until hunger ensues naturally, right? So this is an exercise about honoring your hunger. The recommendation here is that instead of eating by the clock, let the feeling of hunger guide your meal times, okay? So observe how long you can wait in the morning until you feel hungry or until your energy level drops slightly, and then eat a beautiful primal breakfast, right? Eat to feel satisfied, but don't eat to feel overfull, right? And avoid overeating by asking yourself, am I really hungry for another bite, or have I had enough? Yeah. And then just see if you can pass the day like that. Wait until you notice the feelings of hunger or a drop in energy. Wait until you receive the signs from your body that the body requires nutrients and calories. Yeah. And what this does is that it opens your mind-body connection to intuitive eating. Okay. And it's also preparation for the challenge of intermittent fasting, which comes further on. But at the moment, yeah, we just want to sort of awaken your body-mind sensations to the feelings of hunger, to start distinguishing between the different sensations of hunger, or just feeling empty, or feeling full, or feeling overfull. Okay, if you've integrated movement into your program, then there's a recommendation to do the primal essential movements there. And the SMART goal down in motivation, there's the recommendation to write your SMART goal, or review it if you've already done that. And that's it for today. Okay, so hope you're going well. Contact me if you need to, and I will see you tomorrow. Okay, ciao.